Welcome to Consumed, produced by Believe Community. You can get in touch with us through our website, believecommunity.org, and through our social media platforms.
Hi, I'm your host, Ivan Ronald, and today we're going to be focusing on the topic, Let's Talk Singleness. The importance of understanding singleness, being single and whole before you get into a serious romantic relationship. Also, it's okay to be single, happy and blessed for the rest of your life if that's what one desires. Remember, we're not promoting singleness, neither suggesting that people must get married. Today on the podcast, I have my very good friend and one of our key leaders, Amy Mudley. We are going to have an open and honest conversation around her journey through singleness. So let's dive right into it. Hi, Amy.
Hello.
So good to have this conversation with you about your journey into singleness and getting to know you better today. So why don't you tell us a little bit about who Amy is and just give us kind of what you do and your family background.
Sure. This feels oddly strange to be on the other side. I'm normally the person that interviews the guests, and today I'm being interviewed,
Yes.
which is it's a little daunting, but I don't really like speaking about myself. But here goes. I'm Amy Mudley, been part of Believe Community for over a year. I'm a 30-something, lover of Jesus. I'm a business analyst, now going into operations, managing operations in the business. Background, I was born into a Hindu family, found Jesus in my final year of school, which was quite a cool journey. And I've just been growing in the word ever since. Yeah, I'm part of your Believe Community's leadership team, which I'm finding really fun. And I think I'm in a part or a season in my life where I'm having a lot of fun right now.
That sounds awesome. I know last week you had a chat with one of my friends, Lauren Stanley, and I have a few clips from that conversation. So I'm just going to play it now for our listeners. And so here's Lauren introducing herself.
I'm Lauren. I know Ivan from way back in gym when I was a small little human. I work at a community center in Franschhoek, and I love what I get to do. I have quite a passion for education and sharing hope, I guess. And it's quite amazing that I get to do that in my job. I really value meaningful connections. I have been single for a long time.
So that sounded like a really good conversation there you were having with Lauren.
Yes.
And so one of the questions that I know you've posed to Lauren was, when did she realize that she was single? So I'd just love to hear what Lauren had to say about that question.
That's a very interesting question. Yeah, I don't really know, I think, how to answer it, because I think it was just it always was. I think also an interesting thing about relationships is that they quickly become a part of our identity. And so not being in a relationship was always just a part of who I was. I don't think it was ever necessarily much of an issue. But it was on the other side, it's also interesting how quickly being in a relationship can become part of your identity as well.
Wow, that was an interesting answer. So Amy, when did you realize that you were single?
I had one serious relationship. There was a lot of things happening in my life at that time, and it just so happened that I fell into a relationship. As those years went on, I think it was just a year and a half that I was in a relationship. At the end, I realized I was single, even though I was in a relationship, because I wasn't dependent on my partner and I didn't feel like I was part of a partnership. I don't know if you understand. So I felt like in the later stages of that relationship, I was single and I didn't need anyone to feel complete. I didn't need a man to make me feel like a better version of myself. I felt single and I felt like I was alone, and whatever I wanted to do, I did it because it wasn't that type of a relationship.
Right.
And then when I made the decision to end it, like officially end it with him, I realized I just got on with it. I never felt like, oh gosh, I never did this. I mean, he always did that. No, it was never that, because I always did things on my own. And if you notice, when you asked me to say a little bit about who is Amy, I never said I was single or anything, because
Very good.
I don't want that to be linked as part of my identity.
Yeah, because that's not who you are.
Yes.
Very interesting. So I know one of the questions you did ask Lauren when you had this interview with her was like, what does it mean to be single and whole?
Mm-hmm.
So let's hear what Lauren had to say about that question.
For me, I think it definitely means that like you're content and full of life. So there's a certain self-confidence that you have, like you're secure in yourself, and there's space for self-awareness. Yeah. And to just be happy with who you are.
So that was quite an interesting response from Lauren. But what we are looking to answer on this topic is, am I meant to be single? How do I face or overcome the continuous bombardment of worldly pressure? What should one do during the so-called waiting period? Do I actually need to marry someone in order for me to be complete? So Amy, I mean, what is your response to this whole thing about being single, being whole? What does it mean to you?
I feel the season of singleness is so important for an individual, whether you're a woman, whether you're a man. You need to find out who you are, find your identity. And the only person that I believe you can complete you is God. I've learned that on my journey of singleness. At the beginning, my thing was, God's going to send me a brilliant husband, and then I'll travel the world, I'll do this, I can do that. And as the years went by, I realized what I was doing. I was actually holding myself back from traveling the world and doing what I want to do, because I'm waiting for this person to do it with me.
Right.
It's so crazy. Like, in my mind, I convinced myself that my way of thinking was correct, because I want to be in a partnership. And being in a partnership means I get to do things with someone. And therefore, anything exciting in my life or fundamental in my life must be done with my husband. But I realized what happened was I started stopping myself from progressing. Even at work, I would just be like, when I get a husband, maybe he'll be in business and I can help him in his business.
Right.
And just kept myself stumped at work, not learning more and stuff, because I'm like, I will learn more to help my husband in his business.
So in fact, it can actually stop your growth.
Yes, that's exactly what it was doing to me, until I had a revelation and I did a short Bible course about being in your season of singleness. And my whole view and idea of singleness, or this time, changed. What I was doing is I was leading a singleness life based on waiting and not personally growing and finding out who Amy is on her own, waiting for someone to help me live life.
Right. Or become what you're meant to be.
Yes. Becoming a better version of myself, which no one can help you become. It's
Right.
all on your own. You make your choice. You make your decisions.
Absolutely.
You do it yourself. You can only help yourself. No one can come and, flip a switch and like, okay, this is version 2.0, the better version of you. Never going to happen. And once I realized that, and I started then realizing there are such fundamental steps that I have to take as an individual to be prepared to allow someone in my personal space. For instance, right now, if I want to sit till 3 o'clock in the morning and watch Netflix, I can do it. But if I'm married, when my husband's, it's time for bed, he's going to be like, come on, honey, it's time for bed. And I'm like, I want to watch Netflix.
Right.
There's going to be problems in the relationship.
Yes.
Right now, I'm enjoying myself. I can watch Netflix whenever I want. I can go out with my friends whenever I want. If I want to go to, right now we can't really go anywhere in the world that easily, but if I want to, I can. I'd have to wait on someone else's schedule to plan a trip. And I'm also finding out things like, if I want to just put on music and go crazy dancing, Not worry about anyone watching me. I can do it.
Right. Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah. So, and then also, like, there's important things, like we have to do marriage counseling before you get married, and you do that. And
Right.
one of the main important things is your finances, because people don't understand how important it is for you to have your finances correct before you go into a relationship, because it can cause unnecessary baggage in a relationship. Finances, also if you're not confident about yourself, your insecurities, if you don't work on them on your own, you can't take it into a relationship. It just causes unnecessary stress. So for me, singleness, as Lauren said, can be the best time of your life. Finding out who you are, doing things that you know you might not possibly be able to do once you get into a relationship. And it's just so amazing where I'm full on Bible studying, just learning so much, so much about myself alone that I didn't know because I was waiting.
Yes.
And I kept on thinking that a husband's going to make it better. But right now, I don't necessarily need to get married. It's not a need.
Right.
But it's something nice
Yes.
that I would like to experience the rest of my life with someone and go on a journey with someone. I'm not going to be dependent on the person, because sometimes if you become too dependent on an individual, your dependency could make them actually kind of lose a little bit of respect for you because you can't do things on your own. So I'm just a very independent person, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that sounds great, because so basically, like during this time of you are in control of your finances.
Yes.
You're in control of your time.
Yes.
You are in control of how your life's journey is going to take, what path it's going to take.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, you're open to getting into a relationship, because it'd be great to enjoy life together with somebody and share life together, and making sure that it is fun, fulfilling, and blessed, and so on and so on. So basically, I mean, just from hearing you speak, I know that you have strong religious beliefs. What would you say are the blessings of being single?
Mm-hmm.
Would you say those things are the blessings of being single, or there's something else to it?
The blessings to being single. I think the biggest blessing is that I found out who I am, and I'm not living my life to please others.
Wow.
Because if you look around today, everyone
Wants to please somebody.
correct. Social media, you look at all the feeds, they all, you're only going to see the best parts of people's lives. You're never
Yes.
going to see the bad parts of people's
Yes.
lives. And it's so unfortunate that I've even fallen in the trap of looking at people's lives on Instagram, social media, and comparing myself to them. So that's another thing during my season
because
of
you could
singleness.
so easily do that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. In your 30-somethings, I'm like, oh my goodness, that person's got such a cool car and apartment and job. I want that. I want to dress up like that.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't,
Yeah.
But I just realized, like, I need to understand where I am, what my capabilities are, be
Yes.
confident in what I'm doing and who I am. Yeah. And there's something I'm going to circle back to about my confidence personally. But yeah, the blessing of being single is that you gain confidence and you stop comparing yourself to others, and you don't live your life for others' approval.
Yeah. So it's the whole thing about confidence, boldness, and courage.
Exactly. And also, I've learned how to prioritize certain things in my life. Because now when you're a people pleaser, which I used to say yes for everything because I just wanted to be liked by everyone. Now for me, it's like, if you don't like me, okay, that's on you. I'm cool with it,
Right.
So I've learned to say no, and I've learned that I need to set boundaries is another thing. Because when you go into a relationship with anybody, there has to be boundaries.
Boundaries is such a huge thing.
Yes. So I've learned how to set boundaries in all types of relationships, not just a romantic relationship. So with family members as well, I've learned how to do that at work, with colleagues, with friends. I learned how to set boundaries, because people need to understand, when you're single, you have a lot of time. And you need to be very aware of certain individuals that know that you have a lot of time and will love to take it from you. So you need to be very careful in who you invest your time in.
Right.
what you invest your time in.
Yes.
And that's what I've learned during this time, because I used to give my time freely to everybody and never focused on myself, never worked on myself.
Right.
And I can tell you, just for the latter part now of my life, I've actually learned how to do that, to look at myself and work on myself. And I can tell you, in the last 3 years at work, I have, for the lack of a better word, soared. I've really, and like my boss and everybody's actually asking me, I had my boss ask me, why are you so happy? And how did you get here? How did you find this niche at work where you're doing so well and
Yes.
everybody else is still trying to figure out where they sit?
Right.
To be honest, because I focused. I set boundaries and I'm like, okay, Amy, it's time for you to move ahead. And I did it.
And I think that's the most challenging thing for people to do, is to set boundaries
Correct.
and actually keep those boundaries, because people could easily converge on your
Your time.
time,
Your personal space.
your personal space. Yeah, all these things. So if you don't have those boundaries, like a fence, isn't it?
Yes.
People can jump over into your yard. So yeah, that's a good thing, and that's really, really necessary for people to think about boundaries and actually how to set them. So yeah, if you are struggling with setting boundaries, I think you should need to get some help somewhere and talk to people that can help you.
Yes.
And learning to say no, or when to say no,
Yes.
and when to say yes.
Exactly. It's big. And also, during this time of singleness, is a time where you need to also look at your insecurities and look at your flaws, which is not human nature. We would rather point out flaws in other people than flaws in yourself. That was difficult for me. Very difficult.
Interesting. Yeah,
My
that's
mom
a good
lives
point.
Yeah. My mom lives with me, so she's one of those individuals that will see it and tell me, and I'm just at a certain time I didn't want to hear it. I'll be honest with you.
Right.
I mean, who wants another person to tell you what's wrong with you, or if there's an issue that you need to? If I'm not seeing it,
Yes.
how are you seeing it?
Yes.
So that's another phase I went through where I had to sit and think, okay, yeah, this is a problem, Amy, with you. You need to sort this out. I mean, be honest with you, if I get into a relationship and my partner starts pointing out flaws in me, there's going to be problems.
Serious problems. I can see that. And that's a big one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'd rather be confident and also comfortable with myself.
Yeah.
That if someone does point out a flaw and my partner does point out a flaw, and you know what, it's going to be quite sensitive things, I must not go into rage or defense mode.
Yes. So basically, during this time, it's important to work on your character,
Correct.
work on the capacity to handle these difficult situations and
Yes.
problems that flare up. You never know when it's going to flare up in the relationship or even in the marriage if you haven't dealt with those things now.
Correct.
So while you have the time, you have to start working on your own personal development. You have to start working on your character, building the capacity so that you could kind of enlarge in your border
Yes.
to handle
Exactly.
tough situations and those difficult conversations that could easily tear you apart if you don't know how to handle them.
One of the key verses sayings that I stumbled across is, and it helped me a lot at work. It says, listen to understand rather than listen to reply.
Wow, that's so important.
If we apply that to all of our arguments, would we really end up in those horrible situations?
Yeah, no, I just remember my dad. You know, my dad's late now, but both my mom and dad are late. So they were married close to about, I think, 62 years before they went to be with Jesus.
Wow.
And we were chatting, and one of the things he said about having a successful relationship, just the point that you raised, he says, get understanding.
Yes.
He says, please understand. That's so important and so key to having a good relationship. Well, that was so good, getting and having understanding. You see, sometimes people within themselves feel, I'm fine, happy and fulfilled with being single, but also at the same time feeling pressured by family, friends, and society, making you feel that there is something wrong with you. That it's not okay to be single. You need to get married. You're getting old. I don't know how many times you probably heard that. Now, have you ever felt that kind of pressure, and how did you deal with it? So let's hear from our friend Lauren before I get you to answer that.
I'm super blessed in that I have quite a lot of single friends who are amazing, and some even a bit older than me, and my family has just never put that kind of pressure on me at all. I think they understand the value of relationship, and it's like important, and I think more the importance that it's right rather than that it just happens. So there's always been, especially from my family, this space to be who I am, whatever that looks like, even when I don't know what it's going to look like. And then from my friends as well, we've all been in the same boat. So that's been so wonderful. And yeah, I'm about to be 27. So I feel like I'm still pretty young. So I feel very blessed though that I haven't had that pressure, because I have friends, I think, who do have that pressure to a greater extent. I think it can also really mess with like you really figuring out what you really want when there's so much pressure from the outside.
Yeah, that's so true. So Amy, have you ever felt that kind of pressure, obviously being single, from family, from friends, and how did you deal with it?
Yep. So for our listeners, I am Indian. Our culture stipulates that we have to get married at a certain age and start having kids. If you don't, something's wrong with you.
Right.
So that brush has been painted on me a few times. I've been asked questions, especially that my younger brother's married, got a family. I got a few cousins. Yeah, that's also married, got family. I'm still single. It used to really get on my nerves, because at one stage I also started questioning that. Why am I single? What am I doing wrong? What is wrong with me that I'm single?
Yes.
And I just started now attacking myself unconsciously.
Yeah.
Insecurity started setting in. Am I not thin enough? Do I not have nice hair? Am I not the right shade? It's all of that thing, because it's also a thing in our culture about, the color of your skin.
It can also trigger off asking some sexual identity questions as well.
Correct. I didn't have an issue with that. Yeah, it did make me feel really, and what it has done is I didn't want to go to family gatherings because of that. Question will obviously always be asked. Even if the intention was just to
especially at weddings.
Oh, goodness. Especially if the intention wasn't, they might not be intentionally trying to hurt me, but I was seeing it as that.
Right.
I personally did not feel it from my closest family, like my mom and my brother. They've never asked me, like, when are you going to get married? Why are you not married? None of those things. Because they've always been in my close circle, so they always knew who I was. And they knew I've been through a lot in my life, and I needed to go through this journey of singleness to figure out what I want.
Yes.
I can now confidently tell you what I want in a partner. Now when I find someone, I know what questions to ask to know whether I should invest my time in that person. And the next person I'm with, end game is marriage.
Good. That is so good.
Yeah.
Being clear, decisive, having a vision, you know what you want, you know where you're going, and you know who you want to go with.
Yes. And I will be the better version of myself for my partner.
That's beautiful.
I don't want him to come and fix anything about me. I must be fixed and complete.
Yeah.
That
is so good.
Him. Yeah.
That is so good.
It was hurtful. Like I said, a lot of insecurities. I had to push through those insecurities and see the beauty of myself.
Yeah.
I had a conversation once where people will tell me, Amy, you're looking lovely today. You're looking so beautiful today. And I'll just smile because I never believed it.
Yes.
The insecurity, I'm single because I'm not beautiful or I don't look nice.
Right.
Until someone actually held me, looked me in the eye and said, Amy, when someone compliments you, you say thank you.
Yeah, take it all in.
Take it all in.
Take it all in.
Because I was very dismissive. By me making that eye contact and saying thank you, I'm actually opening up myself to accepting that and actually realizing I am beautiful, which was a big deal for me. It was one of my hugest insecurities because when I was young and stuff, being teased and things, that people don't understand how detrimental that can be to someone's confidence.
Yeah.
The slight, you might not have an ill intention in it, but you call someone a certain name or something, it can really have damaging effects.
Yeah,
on
and
life.
especially other people's expectations of you
Yes.
can actually damage you.
Yes. Yeah.
So that is like very critical.
Yeah. And you don't understand, you become an adult and you don't realize that this is in your mind until something triggers it. And that's what's been amazing about my singleness, is working through all of this. Because imagine if I was in a relationship, in a marriage, and my partner says something that triggers me going off, it's going to be hectic.
Really hectic. Really hectic. Because
I mean, I'm glad I'm not going to be in that situation. I've stopped that. I'm sure there's plenty more to come. I mean, I still need to...
life's a journey. Life's a journey.
Yeah, but I've learned how to be patient and understanding.
That is so beautiful. So how did you find love, peace, joy, and satisfaction without having the need to have somebody in your life? How do you enjoy your singleness, having a peace of mind, and staying sane in this pressurizing world?
Develop a heart shell. You need to, because there's millions of points of views that's out there right now, as Justine will call it, POV, that makes you really doubt who you are as an individual, makes you doubt your character, makes you doubt so many things, the life choices you've made. And I've just learned to be confident, happy, and comfortable with the decisions I've made in life. I have no regrets.
That's good.
If you spoke to me a few years ago, I would say, oh yeah, I regretted a lot of things. But I've realized from those so-called regrets that I called those days, I've actually learned a lot, and I've matured from that. I've gained wisdom.
You moved on.
I've moved on. I don't hold things. There's times where people will say, oh, Amy, do you remember when this and this and happened? I'm like, no. And they will give me a vivid account of what happened.
Right.
I'm like, no. So I've developed the ability to hit Control-Alt-Delete in my mind. I won't forget a whole thing if it means I don't want it to take rental space in my mind, and I do it.
Wow. That's good.
That's a gift from God.
That is.
Because your mind, oh wow, it can play tricks. There was a time where I used to have restless nights, sleepless nights, if I thought about what someone said about me. Now I don't. But all with God. I had to go through a personal journey with God where He, I can say, pulled my heart. My heart was shattered. I didn't realize that. But it's not from a single relationship. It's from our own doing.
Right.
People never intentionally wanted to hurt me, but I allowed them to. And I didn't realize that I was shattered.
Right.
And God has actually brought those pieces together. And it was a personal, very, very painful experience to walk this journey with Him. Like now, I can watch like romantic comedies and not be like, oh my gosh, why didn't my relationship be like that? Or
yes,
why didn't I do that? And why am I not creative? And why am I not romantic like that? Why I don't,
Yes.
Now I can watch and I'll be like, oh, that is so cool.
Right.
And be happy for the next person.
Right.
I never realized I used to actually kind of feel jealous of people being in relationships. Didn't realize it until God exposed that to me, and I was like, oof, no, that's not nice.
Yes.
And now I'm happy for people. I've never told anyone this. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I used to be jealous.
Wow.
And
but
now
that's good. I mean, the fact is that you've kind of worked through that, and you have allowed the Lord to work that in your life, which is actually so good.
And what has happened with that and me not getting jealous and being confident in myself and not having these insecurities. If I meet someone that has dated a few ladies or has a personal, like a close relationship with another lady, I'm not going to get offended
Right.
and jealous
Right.
and cause those unnecessary fights and, with him because of that.
Yeah, because it's so easily to become possessive
Yes.
and controlling.
I was possessive and controlling in all my relationships, even with friends.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
If my friends spent time with someone else, it was not good. I never used to say anything to them.
Yeah, you just like, we're not happy.
Yeah. And in my mind, things were happening in my mind. I laugh about it now because I think back and I'm like, oh my gosh, I wasted so much of time on that.
But I mean, what you just said now is so helpful, even for our listeners that have tuned in. You know, I'm not sure for those of you who are listening, if any of you are going through kind of similar things that Amy has faced and going through. So yeah, so there's help. There's a way out, and there's hope. You can overcome those challenges and those feelings of just possessiveness and insecure and trying to control things. Thanks, Amy. That was really, really good. Very, very helpful. Some of the biggest challenges for a single person, I mean, not just single ladies, but for single guys. And I understand some of those dynamics and what guys go through because, I'm married now, married for a long, long time. But I know there were seasons in my life when I was single and some of the challenges that we faced or I faced as a young man. And I think one of the key things is social activities. Tell us a little bit about your social life. What do you do on weekends? Yeah, just give us a little glimpse into this Amy or into this new Amy.
Well, the pandemic definitely put a damper on social gatherings.
Made it much easier, I think. In so many ways.
Okay, so I come from an IT background and I'm not a huge fan of the dating apps. So that's one thing I haven't tried. Although a friend did create a profile for me. So if anyone sees that, it's not me if it's still out there. But
trust me, it's not Amy.
It's not Amy. I'm very wary about who I socialize with. Because whether you like it or not, people do look at who you are with. You do get judged. And you don't want to put yourself in that situation. Rather not cause that type of drama. So I like to be around like-minded people. I've been hanging around a lot of ladies lately because that are strong-minded, strong-willed, have strong opinions.
Mm-hmm.
And I like cracking those down, asking them those questions.
Right.
Are you sure that's the way you should be thinking?
Yes.
For guys, I do have some friends, mainly in the IT world, which I love because we talk about technology and stuff.
Yes.
It's crazy how everybody thinks, well, I'm being called the developer whisperers. So they're very introverted people. They don't like talking to anybody. But, and we had this one very introverted person. He refused to be around a lot of people. He actually came to our office once. He sat there for like 15 minutes. He packed his bag and left because there was too many people.
Oh.
But he preferred picking up the phone and talking to me, no one else.
Right.
And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And that's how I am with developers. So those are my I call them my homies because we chatting and we just, sharing YouTube things and
right.
Yeah. So my social life is with IT guys and strong opinionated women and church.
That is so good. That is so
community.
Good. So, I mean, in your view, what does it mean to be complete? I mean, that is a word that is kind of bounced around. Unless I have somebody, I'm not complete.
Yeah.
Or I'm incomplete. So what does it mean for you, in your view, for someone to be complete? Or are you complete? Or are you getting complete?
I'm getting complete. A complete person would be someone that is fine with who they are. Whether you're married, not married, you're going to be single for the rest of your life.
Yes.
That's fine.
Yes.
Someone that can be happy with themselves. Someone that's focused, boundaries, confident, got good mental health.
Yeah.
Physically as well.
Yes.
Just all-rounded individual.
Yes.
That comes across as a strong person. Strong,
yes.
Not as in muscle strong, but strong as in they know who they are.
Yes.
They know where they come from. They don't need anything from anyone.
Right.
That's a complete person for me.
Right. Big thinkers, open-minded, focused.
Yes. Yes. Not
decision makers.
Decision makers.
Confident and bold.
Yes. The day you get up and you're like, I don't need anything from anyone. I can do it on my own.
Yeah.
I think that's the day you complete. You realize you're complete.
That's amazing. So what were some of the challenges you probably faced as a single person?
Funny one. If you want to get a spa treatment, why do couple treatments have discounts and specials only?
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Interesting.
I know.
Isn't it?
Yes.
I didn't think about that one.
What is up with that? Why can't you just have a single spa day treatment for a single person? What is up with that?
That needs to change.
That needs to change.
Guys, if you're listening, that needs to change. If you own a spa, that needs to change.
Exactly. And then when you have like these competitions for going away or winning a trip or something, it's always for two. I'm like, okay, so wouldn't it be odd if I take a girlfriend with me? Is it just going to be assumed that we are partners or something? I go, why do you do that? You know, there's like society puts this thing on where you have to be, to enjoy something, you have to be a couple.
Right.
So that's something that really highlighted or made me feel a bit lonely with those type of things. Like, does everything have to be in a pair?
Wow. I never thought about that, but that's actually an interesting point.
Yeah.
Well, of course, I know that you are a religious person. You are into the scriptures, the Bible. So what role would you, in your singleness, what role has God played in your life?
Huge. A huge role. I couldn't do this all on my own. Yes, I say it's our choice and we need to take that first step. God is there for us, waiting for us to take that first step. And He guided me through, and He's still guiding me through a lot of difficult things in my life. I'm at a point right now where I have to make a huge decision, and I am counting on Him to help me make that decision. What made me fall in love with Christianity and Jesus and, the Father is that when they say, when you speak to God, it's like you're speaking to your father. And if you heard my story, I don't have a dad, or my father's late. So that for me was just so comforting to know I can speak to God on that level of Him being my father.
Right.
Because for me, the moment you mentioned father, the words that spring to me is love, protector, comforter. Because I've always wanted to feel protected. And that's the one thing as well in my waiting period where I just waited for someone to come into my life. I wanted someone to protect me. And I realized that only God can protect me. God plays a huge, huge, huge part in my life. And every word that I got from anybody concerning me from Him, was spot on.
Right.
And everything is so positive when you have God in your life. That's something I think a lot of people don't understand.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
Yes, the positivity.
Right. Full of hope.
Hope. There's so much of encouragement.
Yeah.
You read the Bible, I know the Old Testament can be really daunting.
Yeah, it's quite challenging.
It's very challenging to read the Old Testament.
Tell me about that.
But then when you go into the New Testament and you just hear that Jesus, He was the epitome of love.
Yes.
Like you just listen to the way He spoke. He's very direct. He wasn't hurtful.
Yes.
That's what we should all strive to be, kind.
And He was in control of His singleness.
Yes. There you have it. That is the person we should all be looking up to during our time of singleness, because He was the person,
Had it together.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
And what I loved when I'm studying the Bible is the order.
Yeah.
When God did something,
Yes.
there was order
Yes.
and there was a reason for you to do it. So I've learned to choose what I invest my time in, because you don't want to start going and doing, a whole lot of stuff that's actually going to waste your time.
Yeah.
Invest in good things.
Good. I mean, look, I know you for quite a while now, so I know one of the big things for you is the whole issue around trust.
Yes.
And you want to say something a little bit about that? Just around the area of trust. I mean, I know a lot of people do have those issues, but just from your perspective and the thing around trust, how important that is for you.
Extremely important. And I think I'm still on that journey of opening myself up a little.
Yeah.
And so at the beginning, when I said it was difficult for me to tell you who I was. I don't like talking about myself. I don't like opening up myself to anyone. Yeah. I'll rather protect myself from people just saying anything about me.
Yes.
So trust for me, I've been hurt big time. Friends, colleagues, you speak to them thinking, they have good intentions. And that's probably wasn't the case. So for me, I am praying so hard for discernment in that area. Like, who can I trust? Yeah. Who can I be open with?
Yeah.
It's difficult. I'm still trying.
Yeah.
And that's why I love the idea of just going to God and speaking to him like, okay, this is
Yes.
how I'm feeling, and I can be so vulnerable with him.
Yes.
And I'm hoping, and that's what I'm praying for, the person that comes into my life is the person I can be vulnerable with. Because that, if I cannot be vulnerable with my life partner, I don't think I'll be happy ever.
You're so right. You're so right. That's so good, Amy. You're so right. I know, obviously being single, there's a lot of temptation
Yes.
out there. And it's so easy to get caught up in the wrong kind of relationships.
Correct.
Or once-off relationships, do this or do that. And so how do you deal with those temptations?
Well, if we had a video right now, you would have seen my whole face change. I get angry because I've had situations where, because I'm single, guys think I'm missing out on something and will offer themselves to me.
Right.
And I'm like, what? What on earth made you think that I would be open to something like that?
Right.
Married men as well.
Right.
They think they project their opinion or views on me. Like, I'm missing out on something and I'm probably sexually frustrated.
Right.
So let me offer Amy my service.
Right.
That just is so disrespectful and insulting.
Right.
Yes, God did create sex. And it's meant to be a good thing. It's meant to be a good thing with someone you trust. And
Right.
there's the word again, trust.
Yes.
So for me, it will never be a good experience if I'm not with someone I trust.
Right.
So that's my view, and that's what it is. It is very difficult because, you're only human, and then you're watching all these series. Sex is everywhere you look. You can't come across something without that even being insinuated.
Right.
It is difficult, but because I've now worked on that area in my life and I've realized I can only be happy sexually or intimate with anybody if I trust them.
Yeah, I think one of the important things is basically if you're in a good community,
Yes.
if you have the right kind of friends,
Correct.
because obviously the world out there has different views on the way they see women as objects or things. And
Yes.
they don't have the understanding that each one of us are created in the image of God.
Correct.
And so they don't have a correct view.
Yes.
They have a skewed view that has been pushed onto them by the world. And therefore, because of your walk with Jesus, because of your time in the Word, because you're in a good community, you're making sure that you're surrounding yourselves with the right kind of people that can speak into your life, that can help you, that can guide you. And I'm sure, obviously, besides the weaknesses, and sometimes as being human, those temptations kind of pop up in the mind, but because of the people that you have around you and your focus on God, fixing your eyes on Jesus, fixing your thoughts on Jesus, that is helping you to push through and journey through these difficult times as you
Yes.
face temptation. And I was just thinking about the one scripture that's found in 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse number 13. How good God is, how amazing, how generous, how loving, how caring He is for us, because He knows the struggles that we face. And He knows the temptations that we experience. But His grace is sufficient for us. And so it says that no temptation has seized you except what is common to man. And God is faithful. That's beautiful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear.
Yes.
But when you are tempted, He will also provide an escape so that you can stand up under it. So whenever you feel that God's with you, and the fact that you're with God, He is with you. And that's amazing.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
I could easily fall into the whole, I don't want to be alone. I want to feel the intimacy. Just recently I heard about ladies my age going to the doctor asking, how do I get a sperm donor? Because I want to have a baby.
Right.
Things like that. Because, they're looking out and they're saying, oh, okay, my biological clock is ticking. Really, did anyone read the Bible?
Yes.
I solely believe if God wants you to have a child at the age of 50, you're going to have it.
Yeah. So guys, our listeners, these things are real. And sometimes we think that we can't overcome these things or we have to do certain things. I want to say that there is a way.
There's definitely a way.
There is a way of escape that is provided for us, and very clear in Scripture that God is faithful and He's gracious and He's loving and He's kind, and He is not a robber of joy. He is not. Would you say being single and whole is a prerequisite to finding a partner or being intentional about marriage?
Yes, definitely.
That sounds like a big yes.
Yes, it's a huge yes. Imagine two people that are insecure, don't know what they want out of life in a relationship. Can you imagine what those conversations are going to be like?
Right.
Going nowhere slowly. And then you have another scenario where you do have a complete person that knows what they want out of life, confident, going into a relationship with someone that doesn't. There's an imbalance.
Right.
It's crazy.
It is really crazy.
And also, I just want to touch back on what we were talking about. There is no shame in falling into the trap of temptation.
Yeah.
As long as you realize that and you quickly get back on board.
Yeah. You find that way of escape.
Yes. Find the way of escape. Also, loneliness can lead to depression.
Right.
Pray that anyone that's feeling that way, figure that out quick and don't go into deep depression, and get help. Surround yourself with the right people. Surround yourself with people that's going to be kind to you. That's what you need. That's what the world needs, more kindness.
Wow. That's amazing. Amy, this has been such an incredible conversation. I love your openness, your transparency, just your honesty. And I think this is something that the world out there is dying to listen to and trying to find answers for some of the challenges they are facing in just being single and with all the pressure they face. But before I get your final words as we close this afternoon's episode, let's hear from Lauren what she has to say in final comments. Over to Lauren.
I actually saw a really great little quote this morning. It had a little sheep on it, and then it said, "Live like someone left the gate open." And I think that's definitely something I'd like to leave with anyone who is single. Like, embrace it. There's so much beauty and space there for self-acceptance and to really, to learn how to live in the moment. You've got to take that with you, whatever happens next. I think there's a beauty in that. And I have my very dear friend, Cindy from Bata, she's brilliant, and I'm sure she'll write a book soon, so look out for that name. She once shared about not letting your singleness be like a bus stop. She kind of explained things like some people wait. You're literally waiting. You spend your singleness waiting to get married, waiting for the bus to come. And she was just like, that's so not what it's supposed to be. So go find a house, settle down, plant a garden. Singleness is incredible and not a waiting season. Yeah.
Hey, Lauren, those are such powerful words.
Singleness.
So encouraging.
Singleness is not a waiting period. I am so with that. That's the time for us to have the time of our lives and just go out and have fun.
So, Amy, why don't you give us your final words to inspire and encourage our listeners as we close off this episode?
Listeners, I am having the time of my life being single. I wasn't at first, but I am now. Wherever you are in your journey of singleness, just remember at the end of it, you're going to be the best version of yourself. Embrace it. Have fun. And like attracts like. Be the happy version you are, because you're going to find a happy partner if that's what you want. Just have fun, everyone.
Well, there you have it, listeners, from Amy Woodley.